And happening right now on Capitol Hill, Microsoft co-founder Bill Gates is appearing before a House Oversight Committee, and he is there to answer questions about his ties to convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. The billionaire's name appears multiple times in the Epstein files, but he denies involvement in any criminal activity. Gates spoke to reporters before going into the hearing.
I'm glad to be here voluntarily to testify, to help with the committee's work. I'll start with an opening statement in the hearing room. I hope my testimony is helpful to the important work of the committee to find justice for the victims.
Now let's go live to CBS News congressional correspondent Nikole Killion, who's outside the committee's closed doors right now. Nikole, thanks for your time. What do you know about the hearing so far?
Well, it just got underway a short time ago, and we did receive a copy of Bill Gates' opening statement. In that opening statement, he says, I want to state very clearly, I never witnessed nor had any indication that Epstein was engaged in ongoing criminal conduct. I never went to his island, his ranch, or his Florida home. He goes on to say, I've never victimized anyone, and then adds, while he may have sought to foster a personal relationship, I was never interested in that and never reciprocated. And now Gates goes on in that opening statement to say that he first met Jeffrey Epstein back in 2011, that their relationship spanned about 3 years until 2014, and that they had a series of conversations with respect to some of his philanthropic work around global health. He says that, you know, a lot of that was aimed at potential donor meetings and trying to raise funds, although he never did so with money from Jeffrey Epstein. In fact, in his statement, he says that their conversations eventually reached a dead end. Now, it is worth pointing out that Bill Gates notes after that point, after he severed ties with Epstein, he says that he learned that Epstein became aware of, quote, sensitive information about his personal life, including the fact that he had been unfaithful in his marriage. He goes on to say, quote, these affairs had nothing to do with my interactions with Epstein, but they were painful for my family. And then he notes that he believes that Jeffrey Epstein was, quote, working to use information about my infidelities to, quote, pressure me to re-engage with him. So in essence, he's accusing Jeffrey Epstein, obviously, who is no longer with us, of trying to use this information about his extramarital affairs to try to re-engage him and pressure him back into some type of relationship. So that is what is coming out of Bill Gates' opening statement. Of course, we heard from a number of members of the House Oversight Committee ahead of this transcribed interview, which again is going on behind closed doors. It is not being videotaped. But in essence, Chairman James Comer told me ahead of this that anything is on the table with respect to Bill Gates. They obviously want a better understanding of the nature of his relationship with Jeffrey Epstein, which I just outlined in his opening statement. Democrats, of course, have many questions as well, so we do expect this to continue for several more hours.
And speaking of Chairman James Comer, Nikole, he also mentioned before the hearing that he wants to get some more people to testify. We've heard from several people already when it comes to this ongoing probe, but do we know who else could appear in this?
Yeah, that's right. Well, I would note that things have really been ramping up with the House Oversight Committee. I mean, it was just a couple of weeks ago that we heard from former Attorney General Pam Bondi, who really put a lot of the onus on the now acting Attorney General Todd Blanche in terms of saying that he really had control over the situation with respect to the release of the Jeffrey Epstein files. And so just today we heard Chairman James Comer say that he is now working to get Blanche in. Now it's unclear in what capacity, whether that would be to testify publicly, whether it would be for a deposition or a transcribed interview like the one going on behind me, where it would be behind closed doors and not videotaped. We did hear from the ranking member of this committee, Robert Garcia, who said it is critical that Blanche's testimony, if it does occur, happens on tape. Of course, we know that President Trump not too long ago nominated Todd Blanche to be the Attorney General, so we will see how that plays out. But obviously, he is a key witness, a key person that this committee would like to talk to, among others.
Okay, Nikole Killion, thank you so much for your time today.